Welcome all of you. So, previously we studied about sustainable development and sustainable development goals, and while studying sustainability, especially the environmental and economic pillar of sustainability, we realized that one of the ways to improve sustainability on these two fronts of environment and economy would be shifting from linear economy to circular economy. So, today's lecture is about circular economy. The lecture contains, we will start with what is linear economy and what are the challenges with it, so that we justify like why there is a need for circular economy. What are different models of circular economy that people use all over the world, contribution to SDGs, how this circular economy approaches are related to sustainable development goals with some case study or example. Linear economy, it is the traditional economic model where resources flow in a straight line. As the name suggests, linear economy, it moves in a straight line. Take, make, waste, or sometimes we before doing waste or disposing we use it, right. So, take, make, use and dispose, that is the 4-word linear straight chain economy, which shows like what is the traditional way. Whenever companies used to make the products, they used to take raw materials from the nature, they used to process it in their industry or factory, and once they made that product, they used to sell it or distribute it for consumption. And when these products were consumed by the consumers or used, at the end of their life, they used to just dispose it off and it turned out to be waste. So, this economy is often referred to as a throwaway economy. So, as the picture also suggests and shows, something taken from the nature, processed, utilized and then again thrown back. Now, whatever is thrown back, it will end up into the nature, but it will not be going into the same form in which we need those materials for making. Okay. So, to take those waste back into the same form where we can reuse it as a raw material, it will take a lot of effort, and that was not the part of linear economy. In linear economy, emphasis was always on extracting the fresh resources. So, the features of linear economy are, it is a one-way resource flow. There is no looping back of materials or resources. There is high extraction of raw materials. It is obvious, when we do not have any recycled or any loop of material or energy flowing back into the system, every time we would need to extract fresh raw materials. So, it would increase the mining operations and other activities which have significant environmental impact. Also, since every time fresh product is made and sold, the amount of waste generation would be high. The products are not designed for long life, repair or reuse, because that would reduce the profits of the company. If they design these products for long term, or like if they are able to be repaired or reused, then nobody would buy the fresh products. So, that is why the emphasis was not on these aspects in the linear economy, and there was heavy dependence on fossil fuels and virgin material. Virgin means the pure materials extracted from nature, fresh. The impacts of this linear economy, obviously the resource depletion. If we go on extracting resources from nature, it will deplete, because like I said earlier also, the rate at which we are consuming the resources and the rate at which resources are getting replenished, there is a huge difference. We are consuming it at much faster, much higher rate than the rate at which they are getting replenished. There is a high waste production, so it will have huge environmental impact. There will be a lot of greenhouse gas emissions because of excessive use of fossil fuels, loss of biodiversity, pollution of different components of environment and higher environmental footprint. So, these were the features and impacts of linear economy, and let us look at some examples, like how does linear economy looks like in different sectors or different industries. Let us take example of plastic and packaging. So, you would see a lot of single use bags and cups. So, we just use it once, and then once it is used, we just throw it in the dustbin. Again, the packaging, a lot of people nowadays buy and do online shopping like Amazon, Flipkart, all those products which are wrapped up in the plastic bags or like cardboards. So, most of them are like single use ones. Sometimes even if they are like reusable, people prefer to just throw it after a single use. Then fashion, textiles, fast fashion or short life clothes. So, fast fashion or short life clothes means those items which gets damaged quickly or which may get wear and tear quickly. So, their life is not very long. If you wash those clothes in washing machine multiple times, they would lose their texture, their color and their fittings. So, those kind of clothes if made by fashion and textile industry, these are a linear economy example. Electronics and e-waste, if something is like non-repairable gadget like the toys with inbuilt batteries in it which cannot be replaced. So, if it gets damaged or if it is not working, we need to discard the entire toy. So, there are many such electronics which are like non-repairable and they end up eventually into a huge pile of e-waste. Construction sector, there will be demolition without material recovery. If something, some old building or a site has to be destroyed or demolished, you just see that there is a bulldozer coming and crushing out everything and then leveling it or dumping that whole debris somewhere else near the landfill or in a hole wherever there is space available, and there will not be any recovery of like say metals or any possible materials from that debris. That is a linear economy example. Automobiles, the parts of the car which can be replaced rather than getting repaired, that is again the example of linear. So, anything which promotes or which compels customers or consumers to buy or replace the existing product by a new product will go under the linear economy example. So, there is a need for circular economy, and what does, as the name suggests, it is like take, make, use, and then rather than throwing it as waste, you repurpose or repair it and then retake and remake it. So, there is a lot of or recycling or refurbishing, repurposing, remaking, reusing, which forms the basis for a circular economy. The moment we use this word the amount of waste or emissions that are going to be generated throughout the life cycle of the product are going to be substantially low. So, it is an economic system designed to eliminate waste, to keep resources in use for as long as possible and regenerate natural systems. See, if once we have extracted resources from nature and if we try to keep it in use in through the circular economy loop for as long as possible, it will give enough time for natural systems to get replenished, to regenerate themselves, so that whenever we need any fresh or virgin raw materials from the nature, it is available for us. Okay. So, that way circular economy can also help and contribute to the products that can be made only in a linear economy manner. Okay. So, the common theme on which circular economy is based is like reduce, reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, recycle and recover, and this can be done at any stage of the product life cycle. It need not be always towards the end of its life. Sometimes you buy a product and it is a brand new thing and it gets some defect and it needs repair right in on the second day. Okay. So, we have not even used, we have not even started using the product life cycle is say like 10 years, but things may happen right from the first day. So, for every stage of its life cycle there is a possibility of doing this repurposing, reusing or repairing. Similarly, in the circular economy based products, while making that product, if something is reused or some recycled material is used, that can be like again forming the basis for circular economy based product. So, it is a near zero waste or low waste or waste minimization economy, because 100% zero waste is not possible. It is practically not possible, because some waste would be generated. Not all the components of all the products can be utilized, and it may be possible to utilize sometimes in some cases, but if it is coming at a huge additional cost which is much higher than just getting the fresh raw material, then it will not make sense also, because the word economy, we should not be forgetting this, it is not just the circular, okay, it is circular economy. So, any decision like made on choice of each of these R's, it has to be going hand in hand with the economics. So, this is another model representing circular economy, which shows that there will always be some residual waste. Okay. We would manage the waste, we would get fresh raw material also, and then there would be lot of efforts going on designing the product sustainably, producing that sustainably, then distribution, consumption, where reuse and repair things would be given due importance. Then it once it is losing its life or it's of no use, it can be collected, it can come under the EPR responsibility, the extended producer's responsibility. The company which manufactured and sold it can collect it back, and then it can manage the waste and reuse along with the raw materials in the design, or if there is any residual waste which cannot be reused in the same loop, it will go to a landfill. So, that is possible. Okay. The circular economy model, it is a model of production and consumption that involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing and recycling existing materials and products for as long as possible. In short, we can say the life cycle of product is extended as much as possible. Okay. Circular economy features, just like linear economy had its own features and impacts, the circular economy features are like it has closed loop material cycles, the products are designed for long life, minimal waste generation, there is an emphasis on sharing, leasing and service models, resource efficiency and lower environmental footprint. If you look at this diagram, which has this almost 10 types of R's or RE starting words, which moves from linear economy towards circular economy. Okay. And there are different phases throughout the life cycle of a product, like the design phase, consumption phase, the end of life phase and the environmental impact phase. So, in the design phase, where most of the value addition is done into the raw material to convert it into a finished product, there if possible refuse, rethink and reduce. So, when we say refuse, just think if there is a need for that particular product or not. For example, like nowadays our mobile phones have everything, the calendar, the time, the alarm, okay. And if there is a need for alarm clock, if there is one equipment or multiple equipment in house which can satisfy the same purpose, there is no need to buy another specific equipment for that specific purpose. So, that way it comes like say no, if it is not required, refuse the product. Rethink, like if there is a need for a product for sure, but then from with respect to company's perspective, if they can merge two products into one, or if they can change the material of production, like for example, if they are making say plastic or fiber based chairs, and if they can switch to bamboo or wood based chairs in the same cost, giving same comforts, sturdiness and life and polishing and all. So, they can rethink about the way the product is manufactured. Then reduce, when we say reduce, it would be related to material as well as energy. So, if there is some amount of material and energy required to manufacture something, things can be designed or like thought in such a way that the energy consumption or the material requirement is reduced, and it need not be every time a technical or technological intervention. Sometimes it can be just a policy or operational protocol process based changes, like forming those, adjusting those shifts of workers working on those equipment, like if some equipment is lying idle for some time, if it can be adjusted somewhere else. So, those kind of inputs or efforts would go in this reduction thing. Then in the consumption phase, though the responsibility would lie with the consumer most of the time, but some responsibility lies with the manufacturer also, because if it has to be reused, repaired or refurbished, the product has to be made in such a way that it is easy to dismantle, it is easy to do some modifications, it is easy to customize. Okay. So, that will promote consumers also to think about reusing, repairing and refurbishing it or repurposing it. For example, like the wine bottle, if it is a very expensive wine, it would come in a very fancy bottle, but once you finish consuming that wine, what do we do with that bottle? Instead of like say throwing it, it can be used as a showcase, or it can be used for planting a tree, for planting some indoor ornamental plants. So, that way it is put to repurpose. So, we are reducing the waste going out of our house or going out of our community. Now, every time it is not possible to reuse or repurpose. So, sometimes at the end of life of a product we are compelled to throw it, but when we throw it, it goes to the landfill or it goes to the rag pickers, and they try to see if some things can be recovered or recycled from those waste which they are collecting. So, here also some responsibility may lie with the producer, that whatever is a valuable material like say silver or aluminum or iron which can be separated out from that particular product, it should not be very strongly mixed or molded or blended with some other toxic chemical or like compound, so that it is very difficult to recycle or recover. Okay. So, that way a lot of responsibility on making that product feasible in a circular economy model would lie with the manufacturer, I would say, but then there are ways where customers, consumers and this end of life users like rag pickers can also contribute to the circular economy. Let us look at different examples, just like linear economy we had seen different examples. For circular economy the same sectors of industries I have taken. So, for plastics and packaging, instead of using single use paper bags or plastics, if the strategy is reusing or refilling, so we have refillable water bottles or milk vending machines or glass bottles which can be returned back at some price also. You would see at airports that there are like drinking water taps, and near those drinking water taps there is refillable tap also, where people are like compelled to bring their own bottles, and we do not see those paper cups lying there anymore. Okay. Electronics, e-waste, the circular economy strategies repair, refurbish or remanufacture. For example, modular phones or refurbished laptops or repair cafes. Okay. So, refurbished laptops very common. If you go to big stores like say Best Buy, or I think even in the stores of Apple or Samsung, you would see these refurbished items coming up for sale. Most of the time refurbished are like the old ones which are having some scratches and which is sold or returned by the customers, and sometimes it can be just open box things like the product which has been opened by mistake or which has been delivered to a customer, but after opening the box they did not like it, they returned it back, and then the company prefers to sell it at a little lower price rather than discarding it in the name of say quality or like the brand reputation. Okay. Textiles, fashion, recycling and reuse, upcycled clothing, textile to fiber, renting outfits. Lot of stores they have started renting the outfits for like special occasions, like some expensive clothing can be rented out and people need not buy the new clothes every time. Then there is a brand called Patagonia which also promotes this recycling and reuse of their camping gears or the clothing, and they try to even promote it, like when they sell the new clothes made from recycled one, and when they sell new clothes made from a fresh raw material, they put the tag of do not buy this jacket on the jacket made from the fresh or virgin raw material. So, they try to promote to like they ask customers to buy those jackets which are made from the recyclable material. Then construction, you can reuse the bricks, the aggregates, and the buildings can be designed in such a way that when they are demolished, it is easy to take out part by part rather than every time destroying it by bulldozers and leveling the debris. Agriculture and food, there is nutrient recycling. If there is waste coming out of farms, rather than just burning it and causing pollution, we can consider generating energy, biogas, compost out of those crop residues or animal residues, and we can get some value added products. So, that way nutrient recycling is done. Automobile and transport, remanufacturing. So, some people they tend to replace tires much early than required. So, those tires are still reusable. So, it can be retraded with the tire manufacturers or sellers. Then EV battery, since there is a lot of push on using electric vehicles nowadays as an alternative to fossil fuel based vehicles like those running on petrol, diesel or gas. So, after some time there is a lot of EV battery waste that is going to get generated. So, it is a time when battery manufacturers or EV manufacturers need to find a way that when these batteries are available after the end of their life, lot of material from it could be easily repurposed or reused while they manufacture the new batteries. So, this is a graph showing linear to recycling to circular economy. So, linear economy, as we have seen, take, make, use and waste, and in recycling, when we finish using, before like wasting it, if we can recycle and send it to the make, we try to do that. But in circular economy, there are this return, reuse, repair, recycle, and all the options are being considered, so with the objective of minimizing the waste. So, that is the difference between recycling and circular economy. Recycling economy does recover some materials, but it still depends on the linear economy largely, but circular economy, it starts right from this point, minimal take. Like if you look at linear and recycling economy, it just says take, get whatever you wanted from the nature. So, all the natural resources can be exploited for their raw material and then they just make. Okay. But here circular economy starts right from the minimal take with the objective of minimal waste, and it is with this objective of minimal waste everything, like even at the making, returning, recycling and repairing and reuse aspects are considered. So, that is the difference between recycling economy and circular economy. Let us look at some models, like I had said earlier, there are different models, numerous models in the area of circular economy. So, we will just have a brief overview of each of those models. We will not be going into extreme details of how each model looks like or what it is about. So, what is a circular economy model? It is a strategic approach or model that shows how an organization, industry or a city or country can implement circular economy principles. So, any approach or model by which someone is implementing the principles of circular economy in their organization or firm, that approach or model is called as a circular economy model. Now, it can be of different types based on the key idea. So, if the model is product life extension, so the key idea is extend the product's lifespan. For example, refurbished electronics. So, there the lifespan of electronics or those products has increased, because rather than throwing it, it is refurbished and sold it as a fresh product. Resource recovery, idea is to recover the materials or energy from waste. For example, biogas from food waste or making those pellets or biochar from crop waste, farm waste, that is the example of resource recovery. Even if you do wastewater treatment, in the wastewater treatment plant, you can recover the nutrients in the form of sludge. In fact, you can recover the fresh water also after purifying it by say primary, secondary, tertiary treatment. You get like pure water which can be sent back to the water body like river. Product as a service, access instead of ownership. So, public transport is a good example, carpooling or sharing of bike or renting is a good example, because when you own, you end up paying more money, and if the population is huge and everyone thinks of owning separate like products for themselves, it will add to the lot of burden on the environment and will also add to, it will also increase the burden on the economy. So, product as a service model promotes sharing and renting instead of having like owning it. Then sharing economy is about shared use of resources like libraries or public transport. Circular design, it is designed for longer use or easy repair, for example, modular phones. Then industrial symbiosis, industries need not work in isolation. Waste coming from one industry can be a feedstock for other industry. So, there has to be a exchange between industries with respect to waste or raw materials. For example, fly ash which is coming from power plants which burn coal, that fly ash in fact is a feedstock for cement industry. CO2 coming out from power plants can be a feedstock for ammonia making industry, okay, or urea making industry. So, CO2 and ammonia would combine to form urea in a fertilizer industry. So, based on the locations of these industries, there is a possibility for symbiosis between these industries. So, these are different circular economy based models based on what key idea they want to promote. Now, finally, how they are related or contribute to sustainable development goals. So, these are different examples like 6, 7, I will not take each and every one. So, goal number 6 is related to clean water and 7 is related to affordable and clean energy. Now, when through circular economy model, what we try to do, we reduce the waste and we try to conserve water. So, we promote water reuse and recycling. So, when these circular economy principles are employed in a company which aims at reducing waste or promote water conserving, water reuse and recycling, we directly contribute to goal number 6 of clean water. Similarly, when circular economy strategy in company encourage renewable energy or waste to energy or increase in the efficiency of the equipment or the technology, we contribute to affordable and clean energy. Similarly, like if we try to reduce emissions from production, waste and energy, we directly contribute to the goal of climate action. So, all different types of circular economy models, approaches or examples will directly or indirectly definitely contribute to different sustainable development goals. The last slide here with the case study of Britannia. It is one of the India's largest food companies. They produce biscuits, dairy products and packaged foods, and historically they have been following a linear model. They take, make and dispose. So, they take raw materials, they pack the food, and the plastic wrappers which are packed around those biscuits or wrapped food products, they end up as a waste into the landfill. So, the impact was huge. There was a large amount of plastic waste generated which went to landfill and it led to marine pollution. Then there was lot of dependence on virgin plastics for their products because they produce in a million units. Then the increasing EPR rules in India, the extended producer responsibility, then the society's pressure to reduce plastic waste and the rising cost of material and the commitments to sustainability. All these factors motivated Britannia to consider circular economy based approach in their company and to shift away from the linear model. So, what did they do? They did interventions in terms of materials, packaging, waste, partnerships as well as waste approach. So, earlier they used to have high virgin plastic usage, but now they use recycled plastic plus recycled material. Instead of using multi-layer non-recyclable packaging material, they are now switching to mono material, so that it is recyclable and it is easy to process once it is used and thrown. Post consumer waste, earlier it used to end up in landfill, but now it is collected and reprocessed or recycled. They are in partnership with different recyclers and waste companies, and now rather than disposing waste, they try to recover, recycle and reuse. So, the outcome of this circular economy based interventions by Britannia, now they are 100% plastic neutral. They collect more plastic than it actually uses. So, they are basically plastic neutral. They recover almost 40 to 50,000 tons plastic waste annually. So, it reduced their virgin plastic usage through packaging redesigning. So, that was all for today's lecture. Just to summarize, what we covered was what is linear economy, what are its features, benefits or impacts, and why there is a need for circular economy. There are numerous models for circular economy. We just saw a brief glimpse or overview of different models and the key idea on which those models are based. Then we also discussed how circular economy principles or models can contribute to sustainable development goals, and we considered one example of Britannia's case study which showed like when they switched from linear model to circular model, it changed their commitment towards environmental sustainability and made it a reputable brand, gaining customers trust, and they are almost 100% plastic neutral now because of the circular economy based principles. So, that completes the sustainable development and the circular economy part with this lecture. And now, since everything is dealing with environment and environmental impact, how do we calculate that environmental impact using the tool of life cycle assessment? That is what will be covered in the next lecture. Thank you.